Hey guys, so first obvious question uh, would be why install it on a Google Cloud VM when every other training is saying use Docker, Kubernetes, or just use Cloud Composer? So multiple reason I started working on this training. So first and foremost, this is something I'm actually building for my own teams, but I just thought I would like upload it on YouTube. That would benefit other people too. So the big factor is the understanding. A lot of people are using Cloud Composer for Apache Airflow. Amazing tool. What it does is you don't know what the core components of Airflow are, what they were, and they have made substantial architectural changes going from 2 to 3, and that's causing that knowledge gap of not knowing the internals is causing all kinds of issues for the developers that are working on these setups. So I have put together a installation script which is kind of production like, but it's not going to be 100% because like I don't know your environment, I don't know how much do you want to scale, but like as a rule of thumb, I would say if you have less than 200 DAGs, don't use a managed service, and that brings to the next reason I'm doing this, building this training. So one of my corporate clients was using the Cloud Composer, and they are like, we're spending $30,000. We don't want to spend that. You move that setup on a compute VM, the cost literally drops down by 90%. Like it's dirt cheap to run the Apache Airflow on a compute VM compared to Cloud Composer. Next thing, I started uploading videos a while ago. I ran out of time and I had to get back to work, but I'm doing this one again once again. And mainly, I want to help out people get into data engineering. So this is the first video I'm uploading because I happen to be working on it, but there will be a extensive Airflow training that I'm building after that. So stay tuned. Like, share, subscribe, the whole YouTube deal. What are the prerequisites for training? So I use Google Cloud because I specialize in Google Cloud. But you can use any cloud vendor to create a compute VM. I mean, that's basically the beauty of it, right? You don't have to stick to any particular cloud provider. But Google Cloud provides Debian based VMs. So if you can get the same on any other cloud provider, you can use this training as it is. Otherwise, like the OS patching step is going to be different, and I have highlighted that in the GitHub link. You would need to have knowledge of Bash. If you don't have that, I in the past uploaded not so great Bash training, so we refer to them from my channel or somebody else's channel. Python is it's a Python based tool, so you're gonna have to know Python. Like there is no way around it. And if you are using Windows, which I'm guessing a lot of people would, please install Git, and it comes with Git Bash. And actually, ZSH is a good tool to have. So install ZSH. A lot of my trainings will be giving direction instead of step by step. Even this training, I would say go through my GitHub link and try to do it on your own. And if you fail, go through the step-by-step video on how I have completed it over the rest of this training. All right, guys, so let's get started. So the Apache Airflow website, it's an open source project. So multiple people work on things, and that can get a little confusing. So, but I have extracted almost all of the instructions from this, and then after that, like, some adjustment based on my experience. I have put all of that on my GitHub repo, and I will share this link in the description. I will be making this training pretty elaborate, and there will be several more trainings in this series. This is like the first one that I'm undertaking. So please subscribe, like, share, if you want to keep up to date with it. All right, so I use Google Cloud, but you can use any cloud. Like, there is just one place where that would be a problem, and I'll point that out as we go through the installation. So first thing first, now sizing of this instance is going to depend on like what you're going to run. I mean, like what kind of workload you're going to run. If you're going to run more than 100 DAGs, I would say just go with Cloud Composer or any other managed solution. But something smaller than that, you should be okay with like just running a single instance solution, and it will be dirt cheap for you. So I am going to use US Central 1A just because my computer is set up that way, and I'm going to create this machine like pretty much with all default configuration. Before you would need to sign up a free Google account. There are other videos available. Enable the computer API. This should be pretty straightforward. We are creating the compute VM. I am leaving out the port about opening the firewall out of this video right now, but it's pretty easy. If you get stuck into that, just add a comment and I will create another video on that. So let's create this machine. It will take a few seconds, so I'm going to pause. Okay, the machine is good to go. Now you can connect right here if you don't have a SSH emulator installed on your machine. But I highly recommend, I'm assuming like most of the people will be using Windows machines, so install Git, like you should be using it anyway. And Git will come with Git Bash, and you can use that directly to connect from your machine. I'm on a Mac which has a local emulator, and that's what I'm going to use for this, and it is called iTerm. Okay, so it's just easier to do work on here for me, copy paste and everything else. And I did this. Okay, never mind. G Cloud Compute SSH Airflow VM, and that's all you gotta do to connect to the Google machines. Okay, and I am here. Like now, in Google machines, I don't have to do any additional setup. This account that it is logged in as, it already has the privileges that I need. Let's do this side by side. So okay, so the first thing first that we're gonna do is we're gonna do sudo apt update, and that enables us to install the prerequisites. There are two sets. Now again, here is the problem with these open source project. Like I got this list from PyEnv, which they recommend to install Python. So that's why there is that list. And then this list I got from the Airflow documentation. So that's why there are two sets, and I have specified it here. And while it's installing, so another thing, PyEnv can create and manage virtual environments, but I ran into issues while using PyEnv virtual environments, and I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself, but that's why we will be using just Python 3 venv that's inbuilt. And if you want to know about the issues that I face, comment. I don't want to make it like I'm trying to make this trainings as beginner friendly as possible. So don't want to make things too convoluted. Okay, now we are done with the OS prerequisites. If you're completely new working with Linux, just remember one thing: you don't want to install anything on any machine as the super user. So that's why we're going to create a Airflow user for this Airflow installation. Highly recommend using these commands one at a time. The more you type, the more you get used to them. All right, now I'm going to log in as the Airflow user. And I've already added the Airflow user to the sudoers. By the way, all that's happening here is I'm creating a user, creating the directories where I'm going to install Airflow, and just changing the owner. Now we're logged in as Airflow. So this is how you install PyEnv. Again, there are multiple solutions that can be used for managing virtual environments. I'm going with this one. If you go to the main Airflow website, it actually recommends a different utility. You can go that route, or you can go this route. It just like the main thing here is you need to install a specific version of software plugins anywhere, like whenever you're working. If you want to reproduce the exact same thing everywhere, you always want to use the versions. So I'm gonna make sure this is installed correctly, which PyEnv, and the shims are in the path. Looks good. And then I'm going to install the 3.11.9. like that's what was in the documentation. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, now this takes quite a bit of time for some reason doing the installation through PyEnv. So what I'm going to do here to save time, you can use different kinds of databases as backend for Airflow. Postgres is kind of a recommended choice. It's a much better database in the open source set of databases. So we can get that installed while this is going on here. So I'm just going to do that while that's getting installed in a separate window. Okay, I'm trying to install stuff on my local machine. That's probably not a good idea. Okay, so I need to go to cloud compute SSH Airflow VM. All right, there we are. And now I'm gonna paste the Postgres installation commands. So the first two commands basically set up the repo from which we can download PostgreSQL 16. 16 is the last one that Airflow website currently says is supported, even though the Postgres version that's out right now is 18. But 16 was the most supported release on the Airflow website, so that's what I'm using. All right. And like I said, you should not be installing stuff as root. So even though we are like using the sudo command, the Postgres community is solid, and the way they have designed the installation package, it automatically creates a PostgreSQL user, and that's where Postgres backend will be installed. And we are using PostgreSQL 16. Almost done. Yeah, I have no idea why it would take so long while using PyEnv for the 3.11 install, but it's fine. I mean, we are not stuck. Okay, and the last command was to log in to Postgres as pSQL user. After that, we are going to create a Airflow user and Airflow DB to basically store the backend for the Airflow instance that we're creating. All three completed successfully. After that, I'm going to connect to the Airflow DB that we just created, and then I'm going to grant all privileges to the Airflow user where the database will sit. And this is another command that we need to execute, so the path matches. Don't worry if you don't understand this, like well, you're technically a data engineer, so you should, but I wouldn't be going in too depth in this video. So we are done here. Now one thing that needs to happen is there is a file called pghba.conf, and that allows users to connect to the Postgres database, so we need to update that. So for that, I'm going to log in as the Postgres user. And then the path should be exactly the same on your installation. And that's the beauty of using the compute VM, a Google Cloud VM, instead of doing it on your local machine. Anyway you want to go, like in a Docker or whatever. I just don't like installing stuff on my local machine. Okay, so now we need to add the entry for the Airflow user in this, and I'm going to add it in the proper place instead of just anywhere. I use VI, but you guys can use Nano if you are not feeling comfortable. Nano has basically where that insert is in purple, you will have instructions on how to insert, how to delete, and all that stuff. But I'm just more comfortable using VI. All right, that is done, and let's get out of here. Now, for that change that we did to take effect, we need to restart the Postgres database. And that completes our PG setup, and the Python 3.11.9 is still not complete. So I'm just going to pause the video and I'll be right back. All right, this is finally done. It took a lot longer than it should have, and I'm not sure. I will investigate that, and I'll update the video at a later point. After installing the video, we're gonna make it global default with this command, and that concludes that part. Okay. Close this window. We don't need to. Okay. So now I'm gonna so Airflow home you would find in the documentation, but the DAG bag is kind of my own personal improvement, so I can reach the DAG folder easily. Just want to point that out, and then we're gonna create these folders. I think the Airflow home is already there, but the DAG bag now will get created. Now these commands right here, what they do is they add after the virtual environment is created, they by default or not by default, like every time I log in, I don't have to do all these things over and over. I'll show you guys. Let me just do it. Okay, first let's do this. So the first command creates the virtual environment, and the second command activates it. Okay, and now let me show you what I mean. If I get out of this and once again come back, like I have to execute this command every single time. The source opt airflow, and I'm using a separate user for Airflow, so I'm gonna need it always. I just put it part of my bash profile. So here when I relog in, I'm already in there, and I'm good to go. Like no need to set up the VENV each time. All right, the next commands basically set up what my dogs are going crazy. Hopefully that's I'm gonna pause. All right, so now we're gonna set the Airflow version to 3.1.0, and it will calculate the Python miner based on this, and the constraint URL will be downloaded from GitHub based on that. This is pretty standard stuff. You have worked on Airflow before. You should know what it's doing. If you are not, I will be doing another full-length training for Apache Airflow. This I want to keep shorter and just about the installation. So that starts the installation and it will take a few minutes, so I'm going to pause again. Still continuing, and this is what it looks like. I have added the Google and Fab as the providers, and that's why it takes a little longer to install, but I'm gonna need it for my trainings like that I intend to build. If you don't want to do that, you can just remove Google from here, Celery, Postgres, and it will go a lot faster. All right, the installation is done, and you can verify that by saying which Airflow. Okay, so to make it usable, like we're gonna have to make a few changes. The first change is the auth manager. Again, not gonna get into too many details, but like right now you won't be able to use this command airflow users create. So airflow users, if you say that, it just basically says it doesn't exist. because it's part of like the default authentication is simple authentication. So to be able to use this particular command to create users, we're going to use the fab auth. And it's kind of can of worms I'm not going to go too deep into. Don't worry about it for now. Just basically it is something we're doing to be able to create users manually with a password of our choice. Like for now that will suffice. So, and the second thing is we need to point the Airflow that we just installed to the Postgres database that we set up. And for that, those configurations sit in this airflow.cfg file. But now if you try to find this file right now, well, I will just show you where it sits. So ls $airflow home has DAGs and logs, but like that config file does not exist. So the first time you want to edit that file, you have to say airflow config list, and when you do that, it's going to show you all the configurations and also create that file there. So it is right here. So vi airflow home and then airflow.cfg. So let's find out where that's the auth manager. Again, I am using vi. You guys can use nano. It's totally up to you. And there's some weird stuff sometimes. Append. Okay. So that is done. And the next is SQL. The VI shortcut, even the people who use VI don't know these shortcuts sometimes. So it is $, to go to the end of the line. All right, so copy that, paste that. And the third chain that I'm doing is the SQL Alchemy pool size. This for some reason is very small and can create problems. So those are the only changes I'm doing to make it a workable setup. I will definitely make a video about how to tune your single instance setups. But for now, let's just change this one. And this should be enough for now. The next thing we need to do is we need to initialize the Airflow DB. So it goes and creates all the table structures required. Pretty straightforward and done. And after this is done, we can create this temporary user. I'm calling it admin1. But you can call it whatever. Okay, so now if you like, the Airflow is installed but it's not started. So if you do localhost :8080, which is the default port, like you don't have anything running right now. So now one way to get everything started is you do no hub and then Airflow API server and then ampersand, I guess, like to send it in the background, but that's kind of a ghetto way of doing things. But this is the command that starts the API server. The documentation has not been updated so far. So if you go to the website, like the Git repo that has this, it still has the web server mentioned, but there is no web server anymore. The web server is part of the API server. But with this, we should be able to access the Airflow UI now. So let's get directional IP. colon 8080. And there it is, like, now if you look here, like basically the database is initiated, the API server is running. Now there are 3 more components that need to run: schedulers, triggerer, and DAG processor. Like these are mandatory. There are additional optional components, but we are not going to worry about those right now. So again, you can start those the same way, but not a clean way of doing things. So I'm going to Control C out of that, and I'm going to get out of this. I think I added sudo su minus. So what we're going to do is we're going to use, so this is what I was afraid of, like it's not passwordless. So I'm going to go back to my main user, and then I'm going to do sudo su minus. That will let me log in as the root user. And after that, we need to create 4 files, one for each service. And you guys can just copy paste this. As long as you're following the exact same steps, it should work just fine. So take that and paste it here. All right, let's go to ls slash okay, so we have all the 4 files for these services. Now to start the Airflow using the system services, and what this does is, like, I would expect people to use this for their own testing, learning purposes, and you don't have to manually start everything. You would want to switch off the machine whenever you are done using it for the day in your personal account. So next time you start it, it would just automatically come up, and you would be able to use the Airflow. So let's refresh it again. Load details, reload. Okay, something is not right. So how do we debug this issue? So, oh no, it is up actually. It just took a second. Okay, and everything is up and running. But if you do run into some issues because of some typos or something, I have one obvious command is just systemctl status Airflow API system. Okay, and this is how you get the latest status. For a little more detailed, I have included the command, the journal CTL, that you can use to debug further. Now let's take one of the DAGs that I used for the Airflow 2.0 training a long time ago. This had changed, but just to show you guys everything is working correctly, I'm going to use that. So here again, I need to go in as Airflow cd $DAG bag, and there we are. Okay, something is not right. Like it should have gone into the DAGs directory. But anyways, vi first.py, and then I put it in here. Oh, and this DAG should show up in our Airflow. Oh, there are these example DAGs that I did not want. So that is a quick fix. So So inside this, there are example DAGs. We're gonna disable those. If you don't want to look at them, I don't really see much of a point in looking at those DAGs, but they are there. Okay, load examples. So it'll take a minute to refresh that. So I'm gonna pause, and you can change the refresh interval. Don't make it too small, otherwise it will just clog up the machine. Zero one. Okay, so we can just search for the tag here. Yeah, nice. So this is not airflow.models anymore, but I don't think that's the problem. So I'll just give it a few more minutes. All right, after a few minutes it refreshed and it populated the first tag. And I think the next refresh is going to remove the example tags. But I think the purpose of this video is satisfied, which was mainly the installation. So I'm going to call it a day here. And I will see you in the next video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully this was helpful. Again, subscribe, share. I'll be happy to help more.